How's it going, guys? And welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a new knife from a new knife company. The company is Finch Knife Company, and the model is going to be the Runtly. A little bit about Finch. They are a newer company started by a gentleman named Steve Laughlin and his buddy Spencer. Steve owns Raven Watches, and Spencer and him got together. They wanted to put their own model out, both collectors, both in the hobby, and this is kind of their offering. So we're going to be looking at that today. I hope you enjoyed the intro. I wanted to do something to kind of properly introduce the knife in the spirit of what they were going for. So I hope that portrayed that well. We did throw in a spec check and covered the basic specs of the knife there in the beginning. So if you missed anything, you can go back and rewatch that. Big thank you for Finch Knife Company sending these along. I appreciate being able to check them out. So we're going to get started. First things first, I want to drop in a size comparison snapshot so you guys can get an idea about how big this knife is going to be. You can see it drop in now. It's going to be about the same size as the Spyderco Dragonfly. A little bit of a different profile, but overall about the same size. So that'll kind of give you guys an idea of, this is going to be one of those smaller knives. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to break it down into the pros of the knife, the things that this knife is doing well, the talking points we're talking about, things I want to note about the knife. Then we're going to roll into the so-sos, things that are just, possible nitpicks or things that I'm indifferent to that other people might have an issue with. And then we're going to go into the oh no's, and those are going to be the things that cause us to kind of stop, take a step back, and maybe reevaluate this knife. Is it something we should be purchasing accordingly? So that's how we're going to do it today. All right, let's start out with the pros of the knife, the things it's doing well. One thing I want to note is the packaging of the knife. I know a lot of you guys don't care per se about the packaging, but they did a really good job here, and it's worth taking a look at. So I'm going to pull that into frame real quick and slide these off to the side. Here you can see you've got their box. Nice classy box. Let's get it in focus. There you go. It's got their name and their logo. Keep life from getting dull. There you go. Keep life from getting dull. Stillwell, Kansas. Nice solid box. Pretty thick stock. But what's inside the box is what I wanted to talk about. You're going to get a little booklet with some do's and don'ts of knife ownership, which most of you guys are going to be familiar with. But if you got a kiddo or you're getting this for a gift for somebody, there's some nice little pointers in there. You're going to get a fancy schmancy warranty card. Done really well. Nice and classy. There you go. Every knife you buy from Finch is guaranteed satisfactory or your money back. Feel confident and look sharp in a Finch always, or with a Finch always. So that's pretty cool. Nice little unique card. And then this I liked. They put a Band-Aid in every packaging. Something that I haven't seen before. We're all going to use one of these at some point in the knife hobby, and it's a good it's Band-Aid brand. This is the brand that I use when I cut myself. So like that, and then a little bit of swag. Flipping the Finch, nice little sticker, and yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I really liked the presentation. I think they did a good job. So we're going to put that off to the side and actually talk about the knife now. The first thing I want to note on this knife that I enjoy is the overall design. I think they did a really good job identifying their own image and what they were going for with this knife. It's unique. It's nothing derivative of anything I'm familiar with, and it's got a classy look to it. But also when you open it up and you see this blade, it reminds me of a utility knife blade. So it's got a utility kind of feel to it, but also this just classy gentleman's knife. And I could see somebody like an electrician using this knife, or somebody who's in an office setting having just a nice, gentleman's piece to have around. And I think that's good. I think they did a good job going, kind of checking two boxes there. And it's a nice looking model in my opinion overall. Moving on from there, I want to give them props on just the nice little touches of this knife. And we're going to go over those really quickly, starting with the logo here on the handle. Now this is something that's unique to them as far as I know. Your logo here is actually going to be an insert of a sapphire crystal, similar to what you would have on a watch face. And this actually has some lume, which is really interesting. I don't know if my camera will pick it up, so I'm going to drop in a picture of the lume activated on this knife, very similar to a watch face. And that's something that's really cool and kind of separates them from the competition, I think, as far as just the little touches on what you're getting. So I really enjoy that. So moving on from the logo, we're just going to go up here. You got a pivot collar, a little bit of contrast, nothing too crazy, but just something to make it pop a little bit. You've got a nice, very neutral titanium pocket clip milled there, and just visually it's neutral. The way it carries is neutral. I'm going to drop a video of it going in and out of the pocket here. And you can see it carries pretty well. Your retention is really good. It's not super deep carry, but if you're in that camp of only deep carry, then you feel how you feel. But I think this does a good job as far as the pocket clip, and they nailed the look. Some of these knives, when they come out, new models have that copy and paste pocket clip, whether deep carry or not, and it looks like a lot of the other pocket clips. And this one I think looks good with the overall design of the knife. Moving on from there, I think there was a lot of thought put into the splipper tab. It is low profile and it works well. So we're going to pop it open and take a look at the blade on one more touch that I really enjoy. You have a stonewash here and you have satin on the flats. Back on the top here, it wraps around as you have more stonewash, and I think that gives a nice subtle contrast on the blade. So I really enjoyed the little touches and attention to detail that they put on their overall design of the knife. Now let's talk about quality. How well is it made? Well, it's made well enough to be in the pro section. These are made by Best Tech, and Best Tech does a pretty good job on their little knives. You have the Best Tech Goblin, the Best Tech Engine. So that's something that they have tuned in pretty well, and it kind of shows on this knife. Overall, fit and finish with the screws, the hardware, your centering is going to be perfect on all the examples that I have here. When you open it up, you have no blade play in either direction. Lockup is solid. You're getting about 15 to 20% on all the models here. Each of them show pretty well on their lockup. Your deployment is going to be good with these models. It's going to be a light switch method, but each one of them is a reliable flipper. Detent's pretty good. I would say out of the three, this one seems to be dialed in the best out of all of them. It has the best overall action. And then, dropping the blade, it's going to be real smooth. The detent is set kind of high, so you got to get past the detent. But once you get it past there, they drop down really nicely. So get it past the detent, and you're all set. See, so this one's the one I carried the most, so it one's broken in. There we go, back in frame. This is the one I carried the most, so this one seems to be broken in just a little bit better than the other ones. So I have a feeling these will all break in nicely. It's on bearings, so it checks the boxes as far as smooth, dependable action on a knife. So next up, I want to talk about the overall execution of what this knife does. And little big knife is kind of in vogue right now. You got a lot of people doing it. Even ZT put out a little knife, and I like that. I'm a little knife guy. You guys know that. And what's cool about this knife is it is little. You can see when I did the size comparison snapshot, I'll drop it in one more time just for a refresher. It's about the size of a dragonfly. However, it's executed in a way where it feels like it's capable of more than a lot of the smaller knives I have at that size. And what I mean by that is, once I focus, there we go. You have solid steel liners. You have this G10 handle that fills up the hand nicely. I think it's about 0.5 there, so about half an inch. You have rock solid blade. You have this piercing tip. You have this kind of like utility blade thing. And it's a neutral handle, so it fills the hand well. And it feels more, it doesn't feel insignificant, I guess you could say. When you pull up a small knife, whether it's a traditional or something like a dragonfly, those seem capable, but this seems like it's just another step above as far as being a solid, kind of a rugged piece for a little knife. And I think that's interesting. I haven't really experienced a small knife that I feel is as capable as some of my bigger knives. Now, this isn't going to, clean a deer or anything like that, but if this is your primary knife, you carry smaller knives, I think this feels a step above in the sense that it's solid and it's, I said not insignificant, and that's kind of what I mean. It's a capable small knife that I feel comfortable with putting a little bit to work. But overall, execution on this little big knife, feel of the knife is done really well. The last thing I want to touch on is just the people over there at Finch Knife Company. Primarily, I've been talking to Spencer, and he's a great guy. He's really open. He's really excited about his product. He likes the feedback. We've had some exchanges, and he's going to be talking to some of the other channels that are going to be checking out the knife, and just really good folks. Even from the beginning, before the knife launch, they were putting out updates and interacting with the community, and that's something I like to see. So that's gonna wrap up our pros. Let's jump into some so-so, shall we? All right, let's get nitpicky, shall we? The first thing I want to talk about this knife, I did say, it's a little big knife, and it has that solid feel in hand. It feels very rigid, very capable, and it seems like it's ready to work. With that aside, it is coming in at 3.15 ounces for a knife of this size. I could see some people having a little bit of an issue with that. There are those people that like to count their ounces, and that's going to be something that probably sticks out to them. Personally, I'm okay with it, but one thing I could recommend, I'm going to show you here in just a second. You can see inside you have full steel liners. Something they could have possibly did a little bit of weight relieving, maybe drilled out the liner on that side, and maybe snuck one or two more on that side, and that would lower that weight a little bit. You could probably, I don't know how effective that is. I don't know if you could get this knife under 3 ounces by doing that, but that's something I could see a lot of people kind of leaning towards if this knife was under 3 ounces for a knife of this size. Now, personally, like I said, I don't care. I'm not really an ounce counter, and I know a lot of you guys aren't, but for the folks that are, I could see that being something that they would appreciate. So, 3.15 for a knife of this size is a little bit on the heavier side, but it's not ridiculous. It's not coming in at 4 ounces, 5 ounces. So that's going to be my first little thing that I would note is possible weight relieving. If they do a version 2 down the line, that's something that they could take into consideration. All right, next thing I want to take a look at is the jimping on the blade. So for me, when I'm working with this knife, I'm primarily holding it like that, possibly like that, or even if I'm doing some detail work, kind of like that. Now you can see the jimping terminates there. And when you engage the jimping, it engages back. It does lock in pretty well. However, the place that the jimping ends isn't really effective for most of the gripping style that I'm going to do. But I'm not really engaging the jimping in a natural way that I would normally do it. So my recommendation would be probably bring the jimping up a few more jumps. Let me see if I can show you. So I'd probably bring it up there. You know, maybe for aesthetics reasons they didn't want to, and okay. But that's something else that I would say is an opportunity, whether, you know, maybe just get rid of the jimping or extend it just a little bit. That's my next nitpick. And the last thing I want to touch on is going to be something I'll get a visual demonstration for you guys. So hold on one second while I go grab something else. So here I've got my pair of 3, Spyderco pair of 3, and I brought it on here because I wanted to show handle thickness. Now, part of the reason when I said this little big knife is robust and it feels solid and rigid and all the things I would want, part of that has to do with just the nice neutral hand feeling part of the handle. You know, it's thicker for a small knife, and I enjoy that. But like I said, I wanted to cover some things that I think other people might be indifferent towards, and I could see the handle thickness on a knife of this size being something that they would nitpick. So let me get it up as a comparison. And you're going to see that this actually has a little bit on the pair of 3. It's a little bit thicker, and you know, it's a significantly smaller knife. Personally, like I said, I'm okay with it because I think it does a good job of filling the hand, and when you have a knife this small, I kind of want my hand to be filled if I'm going to put it to work because it has that utility vibe going on with it. But I could see some folks having a little bit of a nitpicky fest with that. So outside of that, you know, possibly weight relieving, adjust the jimping a little bit, and the handle thickness, which I'm okay with. That's about what I got for nitpicking on the knife. What about the oh no's? All right, oh no's. Let's dive in here and just get really crazy on this thing. But I don't really have any, guys. As far as oh no's, there's nothing that's going to stand out on this knife. You know, there's not lock failure or anything like that. So with that aside, there being oh no's, I'm going to kind of just transition into my final thoughts on this knife, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Okay? All right, guys. Final thoughts on this knife. What do I think overall? Do I like it, love it, or leave it? I like it a lot, guys. There's a lot going on here, in my opinion, as far as being a unique, interesting design. You know, this is their first model they came out with. They have 2 more coming out. One really stands out to me, and that's called the 1929. I'm going to link this and just their site down below, so go check that one out. That one really kind of catches my eye. But for this to be their first model, they come in with something that looks nice but has that utility feel to it and a gentlemanly appeal to it. That's something that I haven't seen quite filled in the niche knife. And when I say that, I mean things like, you know, you have James brand. I think this is a nice intermediary compromise if you're looking for unique kind of collectible knives that not a lot of other people are using that offer something different. So if this is something that you see that interests you, you know, and you want to kind of jump in and get one of these, I would say give it a shot. You know, contact the people over at Finch Knife Company if you have any questions. They're really good people to talk to, very open, and I think they did a good job here. You know, you've got even the materials I'm good with, you know, N690, G10, sapphire inlay, titanium clip. For the first knife, you know, they got to get the company up and running. I think they did well. They're batting within their weight, so, or I guess boxing within their weight, or however. Analogies are not my thing, guys, but you know what I mean. So there it is, guys, the Finch Runtly, a knife that I like a lot, that I think if you're interested, you should give it a check out and see what you think. If you guys have any questions, you know, let me know down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them, and I'm going to link all their stuff. Like I said, great people to talk to, so if you have any questions, get a hold of them. All right, thanks for spending your time with me, guys. As always, have a good one. I hope to see you soon. Take care.